Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. I hope you're all well. Thank you for being here today. Today we're going to be looking at a magazine which I cannot resist but flick through every single time I'm in like a supermarket or a WH Smith or something where it's there, because it is so ridiculous and I love it. This is Spirit and Destiny magazine, which is apparently the #1 best-selling spiritual magazine. Whether that's in the world or the UK, I don't know, but that is quite a claim, and you can see why. Unlike a lot of these kind of spiritual, psychic woo things that I cover on my channel, I don't necessarily think this one is outright harmful. It's not necessarily doing anything like telling people to inject bleach or to not go see their doctor so they can do moonlight yoga to cure their cancer. You know, it's not harmful, it's just a bit of a giggle. It's a bit silly. It's like, you know, yoga inspired by your star sign, seashell therapy, you know, this kind of thing. And I just think it's a good giggle and it always makes me laugh, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it today. I think sometimes it's okay to just want to have a bit of a giggle at things and not take things too seriously. Yeah, enjoy a bit of silliness. Today we're going to be taking a look at the August 2021 issue and just picking out a few of my favourite silly bits from the magazine and just having a little bit of a giggle together. We're obviously going to start with the reader letters, because this is always my favourite bit of the magazine, because it's all these like, these people are so sweet and they're clearly kind of like naive, but they really want to believe, and it's just like, it's the cutest things. Like, okay, listen to this. This is from Joanne in Sheffield, which is where I grew up. Years ago, I went to Skipton Castle in North Yorkshire with my mum. In one particular section, we smelt the delicious aroma of freshly baked bread. Thinking a cafe must be nearby, we looked forward to having some lunch, but a guide told us that the only cafe was outside near the castle entrance. Puzzled, we walked around the corner, and I noticed a sign that said recent excavations had revealed medieval ovens, and a lady, Anne Clifton, who once lived there, had written of loaves of bread being baked early every morning. Did we step back in time? I've often wondered. It's just so wonderfully dramatic to say, like, yeah, me and my mum went to a castle, we smelt some bread near the kitchens. It's so dramatic, I love it. This one though, this is my absolute favourite, and I think this was meant to be like the letter of the month or something, because it got a big picture and everything. It's fantastic, and I can see why. Like, give this woman some prize money, because this story made me smile and laugh so much. It just brings a little bit of joy to my grey days. I'm having a really bad week at the minute, so this letter and just like the pure like joy and hope in it, and also naivety and innocence, just kind of brought a smile to my face. So this is from Kerry Lynn in County Down. She says, my friend recommended I saw a shaman healer who used crystals, drums and beautiful music. I journeyed to meet my spiritual animal, a tiger. It was a wonderful and emotional meeting I'd never experienced before. As I was driving home, feeling totally revitalised and energised, out of the blue, a Sky TV van pulled out, and there, right in front of me, was a tiger. It was with me nearly the whole way home. My healer told me I would see my spirit animal more frequently now, and every now and again, when I'm needing inspiration or encouragement, I meet my old, faithful tiger. Is this not just the best thing you've ever heard? It's like, okay, let's take my skeptic hat off for a second, and let's just pretend spirit animals are totally real. Angels are totally real. The spirit world, all this paranormal stuff is totally real, and they're wanting to send you a message. What better way to do it than have a Sky TV van drive down the road in front of you? It's just the best thing ever. It's, oh, I know it's silly and I can make fun of this stuff and be like, oh lol, she thinks Sky TV vans are a sign from her spirit animal. Like, and it's funny, but how kind of sweet is it for people to just kind of like find so much joy in so many like mundane little details? Like, it's a Sky TV van, and if it makes her happy, let it make her happy, you know? It's kind of sweet. Next up, there was an article called Crystal Whisperer, where crystal expert Katie Jane Wright reveals how these powerful stones can help awaken your third eye, which is totally legit, definitely. She says that as someone who does a lot of energy work with clients and groups, one of the questions I'm asked most often is, how can I open my third eye? It seems there is such a need for people to activate clairvoyance. It's kind of sweet. And the whole article's just like, hey, you do this totally not ridiculous thing, honestly, with crystals. It's a lot of rubbish, let's be honest. It's stuff like, use amethyst because this crystal burns up any lower vibrations with its violet ray and also protects you against overstimulation from the various energies we are bombarded with. When you tune into your third eye, you may feel a pulsing pressure there. This is the sense of overwhelm making itself known on a physical level. Amethyst encourages you to look at the reality you create with your thoughts and actions. And this is a whole lot of way of saying absolutely nothing. Let's be honest, like, there's a lot of crap in here. But surprisingly, there are some quite good points hidden in here, like this saying, amethyst encourages you to look at the reality you create with your thoughts and actions. It's not amethyst making you do that, but if you can have a token with you that reminds you, hang on, let me re-examine my behaviour and my thoughts and what's going on here, I don't see why that's actually a bad thing. I think that's pretty good advice. And if a pretty crystal's going to help you do that, then why not? Of course, all this stuff about it, opening third eyes and protecting against energies, I think is a bunch of poop, but beside the point. She offers some recommendations here, like apparently amethyst activates spiritual awareness and enhances psychic abilities. Herkimer diamonds? Is that how you say it? I've never heard this word said out loud. But they let spiritual energies flow and boost clairvoyancy. Of course they do. And labradorite, which is a beautiful stone, says it's an excellent stone for protection and strengthening intuition. I love it as well. So she has a crystal of the month, which this month is labradorite, which, like I say, stunning, beautiful, gorgeous stone. Apparently, it also talks because it has this to say, apparently. So, let me just put my stone voice on. I speak to the forgotten parts of you, the parts you have not brought love to for a while. I help rally those parts together and shine light on them, these emotions you keep in the shadows. My role is like that of a grandmother spider. We have a similar energy, weaving and connecting the parts of you that you wish to be seen, helping you hold a space within yourself to see them, and connecting your third eye to your heart and the mysticism within. I love this. Can we have more bits of magazines written by rocks, please? It's wonderful. I love this idea. Again, it's so pure and joyful and just like, oh, bless them. Oh, next up we're looking at seashell therapy, which I think this is wonderful. Now, I'll be honest, one of my favourite things to do when I go to a beach, especially pebbly beaches, I love pebbly beaches, is looking for seashells and then drawing them and painting them and sketching them and photographing them and all sorts and just like having fun with them. And sometimes I'll turn them into bits of jewellery and stuff, and it's really fun. I love doing it. And I do think that can be quite therapeutic, you take some time for yourself and you get like in quite a mindful state. It's almost meditative. Like, I get that. I think there is a calming nature to the whole act of it all, and being a part of nature I think can really help people. However, this writer goes a little further because she says, I believe shells have the ability to deflect and disperse negative energy due to their home being the ocean with an abundance of cleansing sea salt. These gorgeous gifts tossed from the world's oceans hold a hypnotic power like no other. So what exactly is seashell therapy? Well, apparently, seashell healing therapy involves placing shells on the body and around the aura. Specific types of shells have different healing energies to offer, working on many different levels. Emotionally, physically, spiritually, and psychologically. Psychologically, shells can help our state of mind by helping us achieve change and removing patterns of behaviour that no longer serve us. Emotionally, they can help us release serotonin, the happy chemical in our brains. I actually do believe that last one. I think shells are pretty, they can make us happy, right? From a physical perspective, shells help us return to a state of natural harmony and calmness. They soothe our central nervous system by releasing endorphins that can help reduce pain naturally. Spiritually, they activate our brow chakra, stimulating our spiritual connection with our guides and intuition. So a lot of this, again, is just a lot of rubbish about they do this and this and like, and I think, again, there are little shreds of truth in here. I do believe that doing things that make you happy are going to obviously increase levels of serotonin and endorphins and so on. Being out in nature is going to help with that. doing things you enjoy, like collecting shells or looking at them or just being outdoors is going to help with that. So I do think there is a slight bit of truth in this, but the idea that you can like place a seashell on your forehead and it will open a chakra that stimulates our spiritual connection with guides and intuition is just a little bit silly, isn't it? And I just find it quite funny. But again, I don't necessarily think it's harmful, and if it's something people want to do, then more power to them, you know? And then this is quite funny because she gives like a list of stones that you can place inside seashells to like do stuff to your body. So like put aquamarine inside a shell, and it's known as the stone of the sea. I can't imagine why. Look at it. And it connects to the energy of the mer people. Yeah. Pearls are an ancient symbol of mermaids, of course they are, known for purifying the human body. Meanwhile, Turritella agate contains fossilized sea snails and therefore is good for survival instincts. Apparently. I love these. Like I say, it's all just a bit silly and fun, you know. There are bits that I do think, again, have some merit to them. Like there's a whole article here on wild swimming, which, I mean, I might not believe in like magical energies and stuff, but I was reading a book about this recently that talked about kind of like the health benefits of wild swimming and how, again, it kind of helps from a sort of mindful, meditative perspective, how, again, being close to nature can kind of really help relax you and kind of, you know, just getting out of city life into the wild for a while can really help. And so articles like this, I actually think there's some merit to and can be really helpful. And then on the other hand, there are ones that do worry me. Like this one, about a woman who thinks she is a spiritual healer to cats. Julianne Thorne says, "I give cats a voice." So basically she has this cat called Pickle, and in 2009, Pickle had been with me for 4 years. The poor mite had been plagued with health issues, diabetes and arthritis among them, and it broke my heart to see her suffer. I placed my hands on her to help comfort her and show my love, and felt them getting warm and warmer. I didn't understand what was happening, but when my husband Rob and I checked Pickle's glucose levels shortly after, the results were astonishing. As she was diabetic, we had to check her glucose levels 2 or 3 times a day to help her insulin and adjust her insulin dose accordingly. Her levels had never been below 10, but now they were reading 5, 6, which was great. How has this happened? It must be to do with me putting my hands on her and feeling the heat coming from them. I think I was giving her healing, I told Rob. Were you though, or was the medication just working well at the time? Had you done something different in her diet? Was it anything other than your hands? The possibility that I could help Pickle with healing energy was amazing, so I signed up to learn Reiki. It's the logical thing to do, isn't it? Over the years, we had made so many visits to our vet, and she was great, I totally trusted her, but I felt so strongly that a more holistic approach could help Pickle. That's why I also took a diploma in using herbs and essential oils for healing with cats. Who the hell is selling those diplomas and training courses? I could make so much money if I was just willing to scam people. Do you ever feel like your basic morals are holding you back? I felt like my intuition had been massively awakened. Whenever we left the vet with another prescription of medication, Pickle would talk to me. That's not enough. I need something more, Pickle had asked, and I was going to deliver. I offered her daily doses of Reiki, spirulina to help with the pain from her arthritis, and aromatherapy oils such as wintergreen, which is good for pain relief. I'd intuitively know what essential oil my little Pickle needed on any given day. I just felt it deep in my heart and soul. But it's not just cats she can help, apparently. One day they go to a wildlife park. When we passed the leopard enclosure, I couldn't see the leopard. She must have been in the bushes. But I suddenly started to cry. I felt like my heart was breaking. When we finished our walk around the park, I found out that this beautiful creature had lost her mate. The poor leopard was grieving. I could feel her loss and pain. This was such a light bulb moment for me in terms of realizing my ability. And then, a third story. We welcomed black rescue cat Leo into our family in May 2019, and 3 months later he developed a cough. My chest feels tight. I think Leo is asthmatic, I told Rob. I was convinced that I was feeling what Leo was feeling. Sure enough, after a few trips to the vet, she confirmed that yes, Leo is asthmatic. Now I offer him herbal remedies and spirulina to reduce the impact of steroids on his body. and now she has a business called Naturally Cats, in which she works as a holistic cat intuitive and behaviorist. Using my empathic skills, my intuition, I read the cat's emotional state and energy by connecting with my heart space. By doing that, I know I can offer them in the way of holistic remedies. So often a problem behavior has an emotional root. I don't know how I feel about this one, because on the one hand, there's nothing harmful about her going to a zoo and saying, oh, she seems sad, I feel sad about a leopard. But when you're messing with animals and their well-being and like giving them essential oils that you don't really know if they're harmful or not, and you're potentially messing with treatments and medication they're on, and you're giving them stuff that could interfere with other medication, especially when now you're doing it to other people's cats as well. This just doesn't quite sit right with me, and this I think is one of the more harmful things in the magazine, and it just worries me a bit. But onto a more light-hearted note, and then of course there are the kind of problem pages, which we all know are wonderful in any magazine and always worth a good giggle. In this one, even more funny. I love it. This is the question of the month, so obviously it's a big one, it's very important. I think it's something we've all asked ourselves at one time or another. Do I get a say in how or who I will be reincarnating as next time around? Well, do I? Because I really fancy being a tiger, so I can be on Sky TV Vans. Past life regression therapist Daniela how is that a job? She says, once we die and go to the place between lives, we do have a say as to what our next life will look like. If that's the case, what the hell was I doing last time when I chose this one? We can discuss and consult with our guides and teachers when we are ready to come back for another incarnation, and this can be almost immediately or a few centuries later, as there is no real timeline on the other side. Time as we know it doesn't exist there. We can start planning what we need to learn in our next life. There is always more than one choice as to the person we come back as. There may be several choices of bodies, circumstances, places, genders, and cultures to choose from before we agree to reincarnate again. Perhaps a baby girl is about to be born in a palace in Europe, or a baby boy about to be born into a poor family in Asia. Which of these will be better suited for us to learn our next lessons? While we don't get to choose the colour of our eyes, our height, or our IQ, shame, we do very often get to choose the family we will be born into, and our life circumstances, even our gender. So we can live a productive life in line with the lessons we are reincarnating to learn. I love how, certain she is on this. She's so confident. She's like, this is what happens, and then this, and then this. It's like she's reading out of a manual when she is just making all of this up. We know none of this. Even if this was the case, how would we know this is what happens? It's ridiculous, but I love the confidence she just spews it with, because that's what so many of these psychics and clairvoyants and spiritual people do. They just say it all with such confidence. They're like, yes, and then this is the reincarnation process, and then this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and you have these chakras that do this, and this, and this, and then when you die, this is what happens. Then in that other world, it's like, you don't know this, but you're saying it with such confidence that, half the people aren't even going to question it. So I can see why people fall for it. Judy asks, my son mentions things that make me think he's remembering a past life. Is this possible? And I thoroughly enjoy the photo with this. Someone just lifting a baby up to a light, because this is how you hold babies now. Our psychic here says, this is absolutely possible. Children can often remember past lives more easily and spontaneously than we can. They are newcomers, and a past life might be fresher in their soul memory. There are many documented cases of children who remember past lives. These can easily be found online if you're interested in discovering more. And I have to be honest, one of my favourite things to do is read stories about creepy children saying creepy things about how they killed people in their last life, or they did this and this and this. And I do think there are explanations for it. I think they probably pick something up from hearing something on TV or overhearing conversations or whatever. But I still find them super creepy, and I love reading the stories. This question does make sense. It's my dog always tries to comfort me when I'm upset. Do dogs understand human emotions? And I personally have to say yes, I think they do, because that's what Kyra does for me, and she's a wonderful little girl and she's always there for me. And I think dogs, like any animals, are just very intuitive, and when you have a dog like Kyra who's incredibly empathetic and incredibly caring, and me and her have such a strong bond, we're very in tune with each other's feelings, and I think it's just what happens when you live very closely with someone, even when they're a different species. This psychic has a different answer though. All animals are aware of human emotions and energy. This goes some way to explaining their reactions to certain strangers. If they detect negative energy or malicious intent, they will try their best to notify us. Our companion animals are closely connected to us, absolutely makes sense, as well as being telepathic, and and therefore they are much more aware of when we are upset, in pain or suffering. Because they care about us as much as we care about them, they naturally try to comfort us and reassure us to make us feel better. And I was so on board with all of this until the line, they are telepathic. Where did that even come from? I love it. So ridiculous. And then for the final question, Catherine in Milton Keynes needs a little bit of help getting over a breakup. She asks, my boyfriend has moved out of the house we shared and I feel bereft. The house feels empty and lonely. What can I do? Absolutely understandable. I think many of us have been there. We know what it's like. Breakups suck. You do feel lonely and crappy afterwards, and sometimes having a bit of a clean-up of your house, getting rid of some old stuff, starting afresh can really help. And this makes sense. You know, the psychic here says the first thing to do is have a good clean, move every piece of furniture, dust, polish, change things about, because I do think that can really help. The next step, however, is to smudge the house with white sage. Hold the sage and whatever you light it with over a plate, because it will shed small burning embers. There should be no problem with that, but better safe than sorry. Once done, you have to reset your home to your energy and clear out the tension. Think about whether giving the house a bit of a facelift will help further, but most importantly, play music you love and reset that vibe. I mean, it's all a bit silly, the burning sage and stuff like that, but then again, it is all based on this like little shred of truth about how sometimes like a fresh start is good, and just clearing things out is good, and just like, you know, burying yourself in interesting, fun and distracting tasks can be really good and that kind of thing. So, like I say, it's a bit silly, it's a bit like, oh, burning sage, ha ha ha. But it's not harmful, and I genuinely think it could help some people. Not in terms of like resetting energies and like the spiritual stuff, but just in terms of distracting them, making them feel empowered, giving them something to do. I don't hate it. And that's why I love Spirit and Destiny magazine, for like, you know, flicking through when I'm in a shop, or in this case I downloaded an issue for this video. I've been wanting to do this for a while, because it's so silly, but it's kind of fun, and it's like it's all good fun, and it all means well. It's not half as harmful as some psychic things are. I do have some problems with things like how they clearly allow really sketchy and dodgy and scammy like mediums and psychics and clairvoyants to like advertise in their magazine and stuff, and how sometimes they'll do things like promoting absolute scumbags like Sally Morgan. But that kind of comes with the territory in these kinds of magazines, and while I will happily sit here and complain about them, on the whole I don't think this magazine is as harmful as some like it, and for that reason I think it's okay to just have a little bit of a giggle about it. But for now, thank you for joining me today, thank you for having a giggle with me. If you want to see more videos like this, or have any other like silly magazine recommendations for me to look at in a video, please let me know. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very, very soon.